Hey everyone, today for another vlog. Sort of deciding to make a bit more radical with those ones. Today I want to talk about being burned out. What is it like? It feels like I might have made some previous ones about burnout, but I think it's really it's taken me a long time to realize that I'm in fact burned out because the personal experience is not obvious, right? Like it's like I'm lying in bed all day so tired that I can't do anything. But I think But I think it's quite clear now that there's a significant like resistance in me, whatever the name is, to doing things that are difficult over a long term. Right? That's how we describe it. It's quite a mouthful to say, so it's obviously much nicer to have a name for it. So might as well call it burnout. I don't know if it's my version is the same as other people. Very likely not, but I think the way I would describe mine is that it's not that I'm tired all the time, although it can be the case. But these days, it's not really the case. I'm not tired all the time. It's more like whenever I have a spark of energy, it tends to fizzle out very quickly if I try to like put it into a project. Right? If I pace myself and I don't set really high expectations and I just do something for its own sake, it doesn't really fizzle out. But yeah, when I try to get things done, right, like pushing, yeah, very much so. So in a way, maybe it's not even burnout. Maybe it's like being so fed up with pushing and projects and all stuff. Maybe because I come out of school like it's been like now 1 year and a few months that I've been out of school. Yeah, that was such a fucking exhausting experience. So such an awful experience overall. I don't think there was any year in my entire education where like from like six you start here in school you start technically you start school at 3 but it can hardly be called school, right? It's just like it's a kindergarten where you're just being watched over. It's not really school. So you start school at 6, actual school with classes and grades, um, and it's been uninterrupted until I, I was 22, right? So that was 16 years of education. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. But 17 years actually, so 12 for the normal thing, which you can expect to do, and then 5 for university, which is the standard, right, for a degree in my country. So 17 years of education, fucking cringe, most awful experience. So fucking glad to be done with school. Funnily enough, my job sort of requires me to take classes still to this day, but it's nicer because it's not like it doesn't have the same type of pressure because it's not like I have to pass exams, I have to take the classes and at least I have to take the exam for like the first semester, but it's more so to get benefits. I'm not obliged to take the exams. Whatever. So school fucking sucks. Yeah, created a lot of anxiety. Just yeah, a lot of people I know and I've read reports having nightmares of school even after they're done. They've been done with it for like 5 or 10 years. Like it's fucking crazy how awful of an experience it is. It's by far like the most silent source of misery, and it's very impolite to talk about how awful school is. Mainly because most people are so unaware of the damage that goes to them. Like people are completely unaware of their emotions, and school is like probably the biggest source of trauma, at least in the West, which I'm aware of. I've never lived in the East. Maybe in the East, family is a bigger source of trauma. I don't know. Um, but yeah, it's just an awful thing, and I think it's left me with a lot of burnout and a lot of exhaustion, and a lot of like not looking forward to work, right? Because school, like many things within society, only operates through coercion. It's always coercion. You never do the things you want to do, and as a result, your energy becomes very, like you're always fighting with the work as opposed to doing the thing that needs to be done or doing the things that needs to be done right now. I mean, as in society, you don't do the thing that you need to do to get your food. Well, there's no like direct cause and effect to my action to the food I get, which you would get for if you were like a hunter gatherer. In society, it's so it's like the most convoluted chain of events and abstraction institutions for the food to get to your plate, and Yeah, it's always work being done through coercion, very likely. Of course, there are people who do not have to force themselves to work, and they obviously put on a lot of hard work to put themselves in that situation. So not trying to discredit them or anything, but it's very rare. That situation is very rare. The vast majority of people are coerced into their work, so much so that it's taken as the normal. Like it's just some people don't even imagine that something else could be possible, which is really sad. Um, yeah. So like I think to come back on burnout, there's a bit of a pretty nasty cycle with it where, as I've said, my version of burnout is that putting work onto projects makes my energy level go really, really like quickly. Like it fizzles out very quickly. So it creates this thing where like you kind of get more and more discouraged about your ability to do things, and so it becomes harder and harder to do things. It's not like a how to say it's not like a perfect positive feedback loop, but sometimes I just have more energy than others. Sometimes I just decide with clarity to not try to do much. Right? Like I just get done with my job and I just try to deal with myself. Not really trying to do much other than that. And usually it goes much better. Right? So there's a there's a move that I think I've been afraid to make for the past years because precisely because of school. Right? Because in school I was not allowed to just how to say like rest for a long period of time. Like even during holidays, I feel like I could hardly rest because there was the next semester coming up in the next year, and having to prepare myself and all that. But I guess I could do that for that. But otherwise, during the rest of the year, I could hardly rest. So I just had to keep up with the study, and the classes was quite demanding, and the work required was quite constant. And yeah, I think it built up this constant like tension in my body that if I don't constantly do something, then there is going to be something bad happening. But I think now that I'm out of like this whole structure, it's quite different. To some extent, not really, right? Because jobs are, as you might expect, very coercive as well. But at least once I'm done with my day, my the the work for the day, I'm done. Right? I don't have homework. Homework is one of those fucking insidious things ever conceived. But yeah, uh, I'm not really sure what to do. Right? Like, what I know is that I'm clearly burnt out, and that's why I can't commit hard to any significant project. Uh, and what I know is that it's probably good to like still work on very small projects, right? Just to get the small win, just to get the small sense of doing things. But I think overall it obviously requires an overall decision to slow down and to just let go of this busyness train, you could say. And so I think the reason why I have not been able to let go of that, of this whole cycle of business, as I've just mentioned, the remnant of school, leaving tension in my body, making me feel like I can't be safe, not working. And the second one is because um, I mean, I don't know how controversial it is to say, but I would say that we're on a state of societal decline overall. Like the economy is so unsustainable that it's starting to show. The economy is mainly based on cheap energy through the form of oil, and as you might expect, this oil is not becomes harder and harder to extract. Right? Like it used to literally come out of the ground with like the first discoveries of oil, but now it requires very complicated methods that are much more energy hungry. So as a result, oil has significantly increased in price, and because it's the lifeblood of our economy. All of the energy we use mainly comes from fossil fuels, even to this day. Even with all this talk about green energy, like in 2019, which was 4 years ago, to be fair, but the figure is quite sobering. In 2019, I think like 81% of the total energy global came from fossil fuels. So if you look at only electricity, it might give you a better outlook. But the thing is that it doesn't matter whether you use energy is for electricity or not, it's still energy at the end of the day. And if 81% comes from fossil fuels in 2019, and I think it was like 89% in 2000. Let me just look up that figure maybe quickly if I can find it, so I can. Uh, I think it was like 89% in something quite ridiculous in like 2007 or something. Like it was quite a long time when it only went down by 8%. Um, yeah. So the whole thing about societal decline, of course, is that it's kind of hard to get in this mindset that okay, here's a figure. In 2019, 84.3% of global energy comes from fossil fuels. In 2000, so it's 19 years prior to 2019, it was 86%. So there was a 2% downtick in 19 years. So if we extrapolate linearly, right, that means that in 2038, we would have 82% of global energy coming from fossil fuels. Um, if we're optimistic, that figure might go down to 75. If we're incredibly fucking optimistic, which is still fucking massive, as you know, it's still 3/4 of the energy usage on something that is non-renewable in our timescale. So yeah, that's the main reason why I believe in societal decline. Simply that there is fundamental, um, and I wouldn't even say believe. I think there are many signs for it, but I think there's just a fundamental unsustainability about our society and our and the quote unquote modern world. It's incredibly power hungry. It's becoming power hungry more and more as the days go by, and that energy comes from sources that are not renewable. So as a result, the cost of energy goes up, right? So the demand of energy goes up as the price of energy goes up, and that's a really bad. Uh, that's a really bad equation, obviously. So it's not that. Just to be clear, it's not that we're going to run out of uh, oil or coal or gas. Those things are not running out of the planet, but when it becomes too expensive to extract, then no one will bother, and as a result, they might as well be gone, right? Like they're not going to be physically gone. There might be a lot of oil within the planet, if we dig deep enough. But if it takes more energy to dig that resource than we can extract from it, then no one would bother. And I think this is by far for me the biggest argument for why society is declining. Is because it's fundamentally unsustainable, and there is no replacement for oil. Right? Even on a purely energetic level, oil is so much fucking cheaper and energy efficient and all the other things. But the things that oil is also used for many things, which is why we talk about peak oil and not peak gas or peak coal. Oil is used for way more things than just energy. Although energy is a major part in it, obviously. Okay, so that was the collapse slash societal decline aspect. Just say it's it's kind of hard to like stay level-headed with this sentiment that the society I live in is uh quite clearly going to get worse over time. I mean, now people are having more and more trouble buying stuff, and people will be quick to blame the Ukraine Russian war, but no one really thinks about why the war started in the first place, right? Like, hint, it's about energy. Like, is it really surprising that the a major reason for wars is because of energy, expansion and wanting to get other people's energy supplies? It's in view of this frame, it's not really surprising, right? Energy is a very valuable resource in the just general like economical warfare that is going on. Yeah, so societal decline. Combine that with burnout, it's I'm not really sure what to do. I think that's why it's been so hard for me to navigate burnout because if I was just living in like a society that I feel would be solid, would last until would last at least until I die, but way after that, like in fact a society that would flourish. Yeah, which I would feel quite good about just deciding to take a year off or something like that, then coming back. But because I'm in a society that's clearly where things are clearly getting worse. Like it's unclear. Like what is a good move? What is a Yeah, it's hard to say. But I think the one thing for sure is that obviously I only have one body, and the body is the most important thing you have. Right? Like it's literally what you interact with everything, and you know I will not push myself. Obviously, I do not intend to push myself, but there's still the sense of resistance that there's tension in me. That, the sense that I should do more just to be safe. But I think the lesson that a lot of people keep repeating, and I think it's worth repeating because it's kind of true, is that safety is it's kind of a mirage. It's kind of an illusion. Our society really loves safety, or to talk about safety, like job safety, or like um, like trying to make people feel safe about the economy and where it's headed, and about but I think it's quite clear that safety is not what the future is going to look like. The future is very uncertain. But yeah, that's just how it is. I mean, it seems like the more people try to control the future, the less the less it becomes true. It's something really, I'm not sure what to say. Like it almost feels like it's one of those scenarios of the trajectories of civilization that even like the Bible sort of talks about. I'm not really sure which myth I would pick, but there are many myths that that we sort of see unfold nowadays. You have like of course you have the Tower of Babel, just pure pure uncomprehension. Tower, uh, how to say? I think there are many interpretations of the Tower of Babel. I'm not sure where the fuck I'm going with this, but I just want to end with this. I think there are many interpretations of the Tower of Babel. I think one of which is that, which I've seen in like the book Early Retirement Extreme, is that people are so specialized nowadays that they basically can't communicate with one another. And so as we build our Tower of Babel and with all of our quote unquote advanced technology, we run into the problem where people just have no fucking idea what other people are doing. And so like we can't really keep going, right? We run into really diminishing returns with specialization, to the point where like you know, specialization requires the specialized parts to collaborate, right? Of course, because otherwise you have something that is worse than useless. But the problem, of course, is that when you specialize so much, you can't even comprehend the other parts with which you want to collaborate. So it kind of runs into this really nasty problem. And I think that is definitely one aspect of the model what I see. But I think the general, like, the general unsustainability at the expense of short-term profit, you could say in a sense that's sort of like the deal with the devil's bargain. Like it's a bit too simplistic to say that we've made the deal, because in a way it's sort of been made for us, right? Because we don't really have a choice. Probably because we would have been killed by another civilization that would uh, maximize short-term profits or short-term power. But it's kind of like this trajectory of the short-term dominating everything until the short-term dies by itself because it's so short-term bound. Right? Something that Ted Kaczynski describes in his last book, Anti-Tech Revolution, how I think he calls them sub self-propagating systems. They will tend to maximize for the short-term power because it gives them the advantage over the others. But the problem is that it leads to their own demise at the end of the day. And I think this is what I see unfold. So yeah, you could say not a very cheerful outlook, but I think this makes me, how to say, at least this gives me a sense of like reason within all the chaos, because I think a lot of people genuinely have no idea what's going on in society. They have no idea why like the prices are increasing, and like why people are just being so much more depressed than usual and all that. For me, it's very clear. Right? For me, there's just this very clear aspect that society is on the decline, and it's not going to be there for forever. The coming decades are quite uncertain. Like society might not collapse. I prefer the term decline, but it might not collapse within my life. I'm 23. I don't know. But I think it will significantly decay as the decades go by. Uh, yeah, like it's become quite clearly harder for people to afford the necessities of life. And it doesn't matter what the economists and the fancy theories say about how the economy is doing fine because they cherry pick like one or two statistics that are doing well. It's quite clear that when people struggle more to afford the necessities of life, then the economy is not doing well. But of course, the system has many tricks to hide that. Of course, it could never admit that it's doing poorly. Of course, the system will always pretend that it's just temporary, that things will go back to normal. But things are not coming back to normal because they were never normal in a sense. I mean, the the discovery of oil and what it allowed was a complete anomaly, and was it's like winning the lottery and spending it recklessly. Um, it's in a way, can we really talk about collapse and decline when the world we live in, with, like, because of the discovery of oil, is so fucking abnormal. Like, it's hard to say, but for sure, for me at least, the society we live in is not going to be there for many more decades. Definitely not many more centuries, but I don't think it will be in terms of centuries that it will last more than this. But okay, that's just my worldview. I mean, feel free to disagree. I don't really care about convincing anyone. Um, but yeah, that's about everything I'd say for this vlog. It became much more political than expected. I just wanted to talk about burnout, but I think it's kind of it's kind of impossible to separate like individual problems and the societal unease, or the societal disease, rather, right? Like the problems of society. The two are very much connected. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.